Hello everybody, this is Manu S and welcome to another Eternal News video. We got another spoiler dump, so time to review some more spoilers. Also, if these spoiler dumps are being kept up, I would expect set 2 by next week. I don't think it's gonna happen tomorrow, obviously, because that's too last minute and there's still not enough cards spoiled, but I sort of expect them to drop set 2 on us next week on Thursday, the usual patch day. Alright, let's hop right in. First we have Diogo Malaga, a Praxis legendary, 4 power, reasonably heavy cost, a double fire and a primal, and a time. For that we get a 3-5 charge, which is not that impressive to be honest, because I think 3-5 doesn't give us great stats to make that much use of charge. Especially on turn 4 there will be a bunch of good ways for the opponent to block this, like let's say we are up against Combre, they have a Seraph, they can just block it, so not too impressed by the charge on the 3-5, and the stats are a bit weird. The ultimate is something to win the long game, but only to win the long game. Basically, for 8, all the units in our deck gain double damage and charge. It's highly speculative. All in all, I'm not super impressed with this. We have so many good 4-drop options in time that I am not super excited about this guy, but we'll see. Maybe he makes more sense with the whole picture. Next off, we have Badius, Clan Father, another legendary, this time Skycrack. I really like this guy. The costs are kinda hefty, basically like in a similar kind of slot as the Rakano legendary that costs double fire and justice. Here we have double fire and primal, so you want to be heavy fire, Skycrack basically for this guy preferably. Odin was, by the way, the Rakano card that I had in mind. And yeah, we get a 3-2, just like Odin, but we get quick draw in Aegis on top, which is really nice. And a really solid ultimate. 7 is quite a lot for a more aggressive deck, but the ultimate is really nice. Like this Dealfang Chakram generates additional card advantage by being recursive. It being put on an Aegis quick draw unit has a lot of impact. Then we basically have a 7-2 quick draw, which can attack into almost everything and needs to be targeted twice to be killed, and then the Chakram still returns to our hand. I really like this card. I think it's a really nice aggressive 3-drop. We're probably gonna get some more ways to make use of him and support him. He also makes cards like Rampage considerably playable, and so on. So yeah, all in all, a really cool, not super flashy, but super robust Skycrack 3-drop for the Skycrack aggressive deck that I'm already slowly building in my mind the more cards we see. Alright, next card is Relentless Gorehorn. This is somewhat interesting. Another card that makes like unit type tribe matter. 4 power, very splashable at 1 shadow. 3-3 is not particularly impressive, but we have to keep in mind that we get Revenge too, so that's worth something. And we also get a lot of potential attack boosts. This is a permanent attack boost, not for the time this guy is in play. So basically, when you play him, all other Minotaurs that we have in play get +2 attack. Right now we don't know how many good Minotaurs there will be, so that is very important for how good Relentless Gorehorn will be or not. But we will see that with more cards being spoiled. This is definitely a card that could be potentially pretty good, but right now it's very speculative. Next up we have Bartholo the Seducer, another of these 3-cost legendary units that we've seen so far. In this case, double justice and 1 shadow, so heavy justice Argenport, which is fine because some of the good cards in Argent Port are double justice like Valkyrie Enforcer, so not having to have double justice and double shadow on turn 3, for example, for 2 different 3-drops is very appealing. Guy is a 2/2 and is unblockable and has Aegis, which makes him a prime weapon target. Like, for example, this guy into Hammer of Might sounds like a really nice curve, gives us a 5/5 unblockable Aegis, gets off the triple Warcry from Hammer very easily without risking the unit, and then the opponent really has to deal with this guy and has to target him twice, and he's also immune to Annihilate, so he's kind of hard to kill. He mostly dies just to Vanquish and Death Strike, plus something to get off the Aegis, which is nice. The ultimate is kind of negligible because 10 is a lot, especially in a deck that wants a 2/2 unblockable Aegis, so I don't really expect this ultimate to happen a whole lot. But yeah, if it ever happens, it's kinda nice. You get card advantage, you get to draw a relic of your choice from your deck. But yeah, this ultimate I think is too overcosted. 10 for an ultimate on a more aggressive unit is just realistically never gonna happen, or like once in a blue moon. So not excited about the ultimate, but the 2/2 unblockable Aegis for 3 alone might be good enough to make this guy playable. Also imagine this guy into, say, Lesrai Falchion, then we have a 6/3 unblockable Aegis lifesteal. That sounds pretty sweet. So there's a bunch of things this guy could do, plus new cards that we don't know yet. So definitely has potential. Next we have Sleepless Night. This card's pretty hefty. First of all, it's a spell, not a fast spell. That's definitely a relevant downside for an 8-cost spell that doesn't impact the board. Costs double shadow, so you can also not splash it. But given that I think the card is kind of bad, it's probably not that big of a deal. And what we get is we have to discard our hand. Preferably we have a power or no cards left in our hand, and then we get to draw 4 cards. And the problem also with the revenge is that if you revenge it, I think it I'm not sure how exactly the interaction between the destiny from the revenge and the card is. If we get to this card and draw 4 first and then draw for the destiny, or I think more likely we're gonna draw for the destiny, then have to discard the destiny draw and draw 4. Since we haven't had spells with destiny yet, so it's kind of hard to imagine how this is going to be solved in game. And yeah, I think the card is just not that powerful. Also, it will be interesting if we can choose to play it when we draw it with destiny or not, because imagine you have like a good cards in your hand that you don't want to lose, and then you draw this and then just have to discard them and draw 4 new cards. All in all, I think this card's pretty bad. Way too expensive, way too situational, not enough value for an 8 power card. I don't like it. Next we have another legendary 3-drop, this time double shadow single time for Xenon, which actually might cause some tension because there's a good bunch of good double time cards in Xenon, so the cost requirements get tighter and tighter, especially with potential Dawnwalkers also on 3 and stuff like that. But all in all, the card seems pretty nice. We get a 3/3 lifesteal, which is a bit below the curve, but we get Ambush, which is some nice utility, although not too great on a 3/3 lifesteal in my opinion, with no other like ambush value, like say Desert Marshal with the silence and stuff like that. And on top we get a rather hefty ultimate, 9 once again, a lot for an ultimate. I mean, anything that costs more than 8 is really high costed. And For 9 we get to silence one of our units in the void and then put it into play with +3/+3. So we also basically need to get back something pretty big to make the 9 worth it. Because let's say the +3/+3 is worth about 3 of those, then we still kind of need to get like a 6 drop with good stats back, because that its text is not gonna matter for this to be really worth it. So yeah, this is, I think, arguably right now the weakest of the 3 drops that we have seen, but the lifesteal definitely makes it a nice life force enabler. Like you can ambush this in at the end of turn and then play attack with it and play some sort of life force card to get value out of it, for example. But yeah, all in all, seems mediocre to me right now. We'll know more with more context. And last but not least, we have a Horu ultimate card, but this time it's a 2-drop. A 2/3 for 2 is nothing special, doesn't have any evasion, but what we get is endurance, so that's nice, so it has some added value. So it's a decent target for weapons, playing offense and defense, and a 2/3 for 2 is generally a solid early defense body, I would say. And the ultimate actually here in this case is really, really good. Ultimate for 6 is very manageable, especially in probably what this might be more of a mid-rangey deck. I don't see Horu as like the super aggressive deck, more as like a mid-rangey aggressive or mid-range deck. And then Kothon, the Far Watcher, gets flying, so we have a 2/3 flying endurance, and on top we get a 4/4 flying owl, like a Great Parliament owl. So that's some serious value. We basically get 6/7 flying in stats with 1/3 of the stats also having endurance. This is a really nice and well balanced ultimate card. This is in a similar power level category as Pyronite. Good early and good late thanks to the ultimate basically, and not overpowered or underpowered by much in either regard. I really like this card. It's nice design, and these are the kind of robust cards that balance variance in Constructed, for example, and give you something to do with your flood, while also being able to do stuff when you're light on power early on. Alright, that's it for today's spoiler dump again. These spoilers keep being exciting after the initial bunch of spoilers that we had that were very underwhelming and disappointing. We keep seeing more and more cool and interesting spoilers that at least make me wanna brew and test with the set. So I can't wait for hopefully next week's patch day to see set 2, or maybe in 2 weeks. But I really think and or hope that it's gonna be the coming week. Alright, that's it for this Eternal News episode. As usual, let me know in the comments what you think, and don't forget to like and subscribe on your way out if you enjoy the content. Thanks for watching, bye!